On this episode of the Red and Gold Report, I want to tell you all about my favorite Kansas City Chiefs 2022 draft choice, George Karloftis. The Chiefs' freshly minted first-round draft pick has a story that you really have to hear to believe. So listen to this. George's dad was from the country of Greece, but was in the United States to get a PhD when he met his soon-to-be wife, Amy. The two actually moved all the way to Greece, where they had little baby George, who was born in 2001 in Athens, Greece. Yes, George was born in the same place democracy was born in, Athens. Growing up in Greece, George played water polo. He started playing with the grown men's group when he was only 13, but tragically, one day during practice, right before he was going to be trying out for the Greek national team, George found out that his father, Matt, had died of a heart attack at just 44 years old. George was devastated. He jumps out of the pool to run to his mother and comfort her. His mother, Amy, took her 4 children all the way back to her home in Indiana in the United States. So really, just imagine being a young guy, a boy really, growing up in Greece, speaking Greek, going to school in Greece, and then when you're on the cusp of high school at the age of 13, then you move to the US. Like, that would be a really hard transition, right? But George overcame, and the coaches on the football team recruited him as a freshman. Later, George would admit that growing up in Greece, he didn't even know what a first down was, but he overcame that late start in football. And by just his sophomore year, he had earned an offer from Indiana, which is insane. Seriously, 1 year of football in the United States, and the guy was so talented that he earned a D1 offer. I mean, get this. A guy who had never played football, who didn't even grow up in the United States, had 41 sacks in his high school career. He was the Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 in the U.S. Army All-American game for high school recruits. He had 17 and a half sacks his senior year of high school. He won back-to-back state champions in shot put. Like, this dude was just a natural freak of an athlete from day one. That's where he gets his nickname, the Greek Freak. Ultimately, George actually signed with Purdue, the same school where his late father had received his PhD. And wow, things went really well at Purdue. As a true freshman, he had 7.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, and get this, he had 55 pressures. Like, that's unbelievable. But unfortunately, as a sophomore, his year was derailed, as so many years were during COVID, and he only got to play in 3 games. As a freshman all the way back in high school, George met his longtime girlfriend, Kaya Harris. Kaya Harris also went to Purdue, where she was a track and field star. And when Kaya got into a tragic, life-threatening car accident, you can guess what George did. He was by her side day and night, there for her. The two overcoming a devastating event. And you know what? The two are still together to this day. And even though his 2020 was cut short by COVID, he overcame once again, roaring back in 2021 to receive a pass rush grade of 90.6 according to PFF, and an astounding 25.4 pass rush win rate. Those are unbelievable grades. And this spring in the NFL draft, overcoming all odds, the Greek Freak, who didn't even move to the United States until he was a 13-year-old, was drafted into the NFL in the first round. So why is George Karloftis my favorite Chiefs draft pick this year? Simple. The guy is an overcomer. And hey, real quick, to get the best Chiefs news and updates, make sure to subscribe to the Red and Gold Report on YouTube, like the video, hit the little notification bell thing. Second reason why Karloftis is my favorite draft pick for the Chiefs this year is his relentless motor. I remember back in the day when I was an intern in the Chiefs personnel department, Jared Allen was actually still the defensive end for the Chiefs. He was a blast to watch. He was definitely a veteran by that point. And one of my jobs every day in training camp was to grade out the one-on-one drills between the defensive lineman and the offensive lineman. So every night I'd look at my spreadsheet I had made during the day, and Jared Allen was just destroying everyone. And it was weird. He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the most highly drafted player, but Jared Allen was crushing everybody at practice. And I thought about that a lot that year at camp, and the conclusion I came to was this. He just he just plain tried harder. He just plain gave it more effort. And from that day on, I have always considered effort the number one determining factor of how I'm going to grade pass rushers. And, well, that's exactly what Karloftis is best known for. Seriously, in an age of diva football players, in an age where defensive linemen routinely take plays off, I challenge anybody to go watch George Karloftis' game film and, you know what? Send me a play where he took one off. I don't see it. Send me a play where he just didn't give effort. I don't see it. You're not going to find it. This is a guy who doesn't take plays off, a guy who doesn't come off the field. George's favorite quote, a quote he wrote in Sharpie on the wall of his childhood bedroom home, is "Prove them wrong. Prove them wrong," because he's a competitor. This is a high motor, high effort, give 100% on every play. The team is more important than me sort of guy. And that is what you look for in a defensive lineman, right? Third reason why Karloftis is my favorite draft pick for the Chiefs this year is that he's an underdog. When you don't even move to the US until you're 13 and you don't play football until your freshman year of high school, you're an underdog. When you come out of Purdue and you're hoping to be a first rounder, not a huge power school, right? You're an underdog. When you're a 4-star recruit instead of a 5-star recruit, even though you were the defensive player of the year in high school, you're an underdog. And then I really hated what happened to Karloftis in the draft process. I mean, look, based on his grades, George was PFF's 10th rated player in the entire draft, but due to the stupidity of the pre-draft media hype that devalues how a guy actually plays on the field, somehow he fell to 30th in the draft, even though he was a top 10 talent. Yeah, that's a rough break for him and a great value for the Chiefs, but wow, he really is an underdog. The fourth reason George is my favorite Chiefs draft pick this year is his ability as a pass rusher. I mean, man, if this Chiefs team had one dire need that they had to fill this offseason, it was, of course, an edge rusher. And that's exactly what Karloftis is. Now, if you listen to the stupidity that is the national sports media, you'll hear them say that George isn't an elite edge rusher because he isn't elite with his outside speed rush ability. But that's just because those people are kind of stupid. There's a lot of ways to get to the quarterback in the NFL, and Karloftis is absolutely elite as a power rusher because he employs this devastating bull rush that you'll see over and over again when you watch film of him. The media forgets just how successful the bull rush is today in the NFL because they're so obsessed with speed. But look, Nick Bosa, Trey Hendrickson, Cameron Jordan, Aaron Donald, Matthew Judon were all five of those players were in the top 10 in sacks last year in the NFL. That's half of the top sack getters in the NFL, who are primarily, in my eyes, known for their great bull rush ability. And that's the same mold Karloftis is made in. So don't let the media fool you. He is a great edge rusher. He just gets it done primarily through a power rush, a bull rush, instead of a speed rush. And you know what? This power rush ability is a huge asset because it gives him versatility. Unlike tiny speed rushers, George has the potential to be flexible, setting up as a defensive tackle occasionally in pass rush downs because he is so powerful. So he's an excellent pass rusher, and his ability as primarily a power rusher is not a hindrance. Oh no, that's an asset. Fifth reason George Karloftis is my favorite draft pick for the Chiefs this year is his athletic ability. Again, the national media got him wrong here, which is why he dropped in the draft. They pegged him as just a try-hard guy, when in reality, he is a fantastic physical talent. So let's look at a few of the numbers to prove him wrong. George had 10 and a quarter inch hands, which is 88th percentile for his position. He had a 38-inch vertical jump, which is in the 78th percentile for his position. He had a 10-foot, 1-inch broad jump, which is in the 78th percentile for his position. You know, sometimes in the NFL draft process, things just get silly. With the fifth pick in the first round, let's just do a little comparison, okay? With the fifth pick in the first round, the New York Football Giants selected Kayvon Thibodeau this year out of Oregon. Now, thousands of draft pundits told us this was a brilliant pick for the Giants because Thibodeau is such an athlete. Many of these are the same pundits who were telling us that Karloftis is just a try-hard guy but not a great athlete. Okay, let's compare. The two players are the same height, but Karloftis is much bigger, heavier, and stronger. Karloftis has much bigger hands than Thibodeau. Karloftis had a better broad jump than Thibodeau. Karloftis, the last time Thibodeau took the vertical jump, he didn't even hit 30 inches. So Karloftis destroyed him in the vertical jump. He had a 38-inch vertical jump at the NFL Combine. And Karloftis had a better three-cone shuttle, while the two players had nearly identical 20-yard shuttle times. So you tell me, who's the better athlete? Like, why all the weird hype for one player but not the other one here? If the national media sports news outlets ding Karloftis for his athleticism, but they helped hype up Thibodeau into a top 5 pick, all the while Karloftis is actually the one who tested with better numbers, how does any of this make sense? Karloftis is a fantastic athlete. The sixth reason Karloftis is my favorite draft pick of the Chiefs this year is that he's exactly what we need on defense. Our defensive ends, they stunk it up last season. Seriously, they were not good. In fact, they're so bad we had to trade for Melvin Ingram halfway through the season just to get anything going on defense. So this offseason, defensive end was the main need, and Karloftis fits that need as a defensive end and a pass rusher. But it goes further than just a need for a pass rusher. You know what? I'm just going to say it. I'm sick of watching the Chiefs defensive ends get pushed around. Really. Our Chiefs allowed the second worst yard per rush carry in the league last season. And to fix that, we needed somebody with power. We needed somebody who just moves people. We needed somebody with a good anchor. We needed someone who would bring his lunchbox to work and play football on rundowns. And that's what we're going to get out of George Karloftis. Look, I don't like these diva players. I don't like these players who take plays off. I don't like these players who don't want to tackle. We need some guys with some fire, with some effort, who are team first guys. George Karloftis is exactly what we need on defense. So that's why George Karloftis is my favorite Chiefs draft pick this year. He's a guy who grew up in Greece, moved to the United States just before high school, who overcame a lot of obstacles in life, who fought and fought again, and now he is a Kansas City Chief. And he is my favorite draft pick this year for our team. But let me know what you think. Our team had a lot of great draft picks. So who is your favorite Chiefs draft pick for this year? What's George Karloftis' best attribute that you're excited to see on the field next season? Leave me your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video for the Red and Gold Report channel on YouTube. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for watching, and go Chiefs.